Imagine, my friend, that you had the opportunity to move to a completely new and different world, full of magic and adventures. The natural course would be to use your new powers and skills, achieve your dreams, and save the world as the legendary hero. But our story and our hero today are a bit different, and I assure you that our tale will be highly entertaining. Before we begin our story, I hope you can support us by liking and sharing the video, subscribing to the channel, and enabling notifications so you can follow us regularly. Alright, let's go. Our story begins on a rainy day amidst flowers and trees. We see two people walking calmly under the rain until they reach the bridge and stop at the riverbank, contemplating the raging waves. These two people are our hero, Osamu, and his beloved, walking together to end their lives together. At this moment, our hero Osamu tells his beloved that these waves could end their lives in a matter of seconds. His beloved takes out a red ribbon and ties their hands together, explaining to him that this way they will be together forever. Amidst this romantic atmosphere, they are startled by a huge truck that crashes into both of them, causing their deaths. At this point, it would be natural for Osamu's story to end, but he wakes up and discovers that he is in a church, thinking that he has died and it's time to face judgment. However, he hears a voice behind him reassuring him that he hasn't died yet but has moved to another world. As he turns around, he finds a woman named Annette who informs him that she is his responsible guide and that she summoned him to this world to become the hero. Osamu confirms that he is indeed in a different world when he looks out the window and sees dragons and magical creatures flying in the sky. Osamu says to her with disappointment, "Are you saying that I was transferred to this strange world after my suicide attempt failed?" Annette responds that he is correct, noting his quick understanding, and informs him of the mission required of him. However, she interrupts herself when she discovers that Osamu is on the verge of death after swallowing half of the sleeping pills he had with him. She uses her magic to treat him and detoxify the effects of the pills he swallowed. As soon as Osamu wakes up, he asks her not to interfere and leave him to commit suicide in peace. Annette angrily asks him what he is doing, as his mission is supposed to be to save the world. Osamu responds, while swallowing the sleeping pills again, that he has no interest in this world or the mission he is supposed to undertake, and that his only goal is to find a suitable place to die. At that moment, Annette curses her luck for ending up with a fool whose sole preoccupation seems to be suicide. She tries to convince him to fulfill his role because he was chosen to be the hero, but he coldly tells her that he did not ask to be chosen as a hero. Annette anxiously asks him if he had been hit by a truck before ending up here, and when Osamu remembers the truck that hit him, he confirms her words. She explains to him that this truck is the truck of choice and that it is the reason for his transfer to this world. This truck chooses miserable people who hate their lives and hits them to transfer them to new worlds where they can live a new life and achieve their dreams. And that the truck hit him because he hated his life in his world. Fortunately, he has a golden opportunity to start his life anew. At that moment, Osamu stands up and approaches Annette calmly, grabbing her magical staff, and he tells her angrily that they intervened and spoiled his double suicide, which was the happiest moment of his life, and now they want to control him. Annette freezes in place for moments and tells herself that she can't believe that this fool is blaming them for saving him from his miserable life that led him to commit suicide. And she decides not to be distracted by Osamu's words because he will surely change his mind when he knows the abilities he has acquired, as every person who moves to this world acquires supernatural abilities. She opens Osamu's status window and is surprised to find that he has no abilities and his level is very low, in addition to being poisoned and on the verge of death. Despite this, Annette is not convinced and looks again for hope that she will find any special abilities or skills. But she is shocked by the harsh reality that Osamu has no abilities at all and is weaker than a baby. As soon as Annette finishes her examination, Osamu gets up and leaves her and walks away. After moments of conscience, Annette decides to stop Osamu before he leaves and apologizes to him for accidentally moving him to this world because he does not have the ability to live in this world. Osamu thanks her for her sympathy and asks her not to worry because he is looking for a place to die, and he walks quietly out of the place. At this moment, Annette recalls the happiness she felt when she began her mission as a guide to adventurers who moved to this world. But over time, her happiness diminished and she lost her enthusiasm for the mission due to the adventurer's behavior. But when she saw Osamu's miserable situation and his weakness, she felt a strong desire to help him. At the end of her memories, she chases after Osamu, who opens the door and is on the verge of leaving, and asks him to at least choose a profession before leaving, but he confidently replies that he does not need to choose because he is a born writer, no more, no less, and bids her farewell and walks away. At this moment, Annette remains in her place, not knowing how to act or what strange feeling she is feeling. After a while, we find Osamu standing in the middle of the road in front of a sign and not knowing where to go because he cannot read. Within seconds, he hears a voice in his head translating the sign for him and informing him that he has gained experience points from exploration. He weakly says that he does not know who is talking in his head directly to him, but he hopes that the voice will disappear because it causes him a headache. And before Osamu finishes his speech, the voice informs him that his level has increased and he is now at the second level. He wishes he would die just to get rid of the voice and the headache it's causing him. After moments of silence, Osamu hears a scream coming from behind him. He turns around to find the trees behind him breaking, and he sees a monster named Death Tree holding a girl with cat ears, binding her with its branches. As soon as the girl sees Osamu, she asks him to help her before the monster kills her and turns her into fertilizer. At this point, the monster surrounded the girl with its branches to prevent her from escaping or moving. Our hero, Osamu, was in another world, and he thought about why everyone he met so far has different ears from those of ordinary humans. And when Osamu wakes up, he asks the girl to let him write a story about her. So she scolds him and asks him to save her first, and then he can write what he wants. At that moment, Osamu decides to save her and approaches the tree and jumps to reach the girl, but to no avail, and apologizes to her because he won't be able to save her. As it is clear, she asked him disappointedly, "Don't you have a sword or anything useful?" Before Osamu can respond to her, the monster also caught him and wrapped the branches around his neck and began to strangle him. Osamu looks at the girl and tells her that it looks like they will die soon. The girl tells him to shut up because he made everything worse and gave her a false hope. She explains to him that this monster absorbs the energy of life from its prey, and within minutes the two of them will die, and regretting that she asked him to help her, but Osamu tells her that he is happy and excited because he feels his body is gradually weakened and will eventually die. In seconds, he froze on his spot, and the girl screamed in terror because she thought he was dead and surrenders to her fate and says she could not imagine dying in this strange way. At that moment, the color of the tree changes, starting from the part around Osamu's neck, and in a very short time, the whole tree turns purple and explodes. And the girl stands up in place, not understanding what is happening and why the monster died. And Osamu stands, unhappy because he survived, and his attempt to die failed again. And the sound appears, informing him that he succeeded in defeating the tree of death using poison. At that moment, the girl concludes that Osamu caused the tree to absorb the poison instead of absorbing his life energy. And she asks him with astonishment, why is he pretending to be weak when he is actually strong? But Osamu told her that he was frustrated that he was unlucky because he tried to end his own life 5 times, but he failed every single one of them. The girl told him she didn't know why he was sad, but she was glad because she was still alive. She thanked him and introduced herself as Tama and offered to go with him because he saved her, and asks him about his name. So he answered that his name was Osamu. So Tama holds him from his hand and asks him to follow her. At that moment, Osamu remembered his lover and asked himself if she had moved with him to this world. Tama is annoyed because Osamu called her by his lover's name and walked away. So she walks behind him and reminds him that her name is Tama, but he ignores her and continues his journey after finding a reason to live in this bizarre world. He decides to search for his lover, and when he finds her, they will commit double suicide together. On the other side, we see Annette in the church praying that Osamu stays alive until she meets him again. In the midst of her prayer, she is surprised to see the church door open. When she turns around, she sees Osamu standing there. She rushes towards him, overjoyed that he has returned, but she freezes in place when she sees Tama. When Osamu tells her that he is looking for his lover and needs her help, she faints from shock. After a while, we find Osamu walking, visibly sad because he has no clue to lead him to his lover. Tama reassures him that his lover must surely exist in this world, and if he continues his search, he will find her one day. Since their home is far away, she suggests they rest in the nearby city before continuing their journey. She takes his hand and they walk, but she is surprised when Annette hits her hand with her staff and asks her to keep her distance from Osamu because holding hands with a man is indecent. Tama screams in pain and shouts at Annette, asking why she hit her, but Annette remains silent and ignores her, looking at Osamu. Tama concludes that Annette loves Osamu, which is why she followed them, but Annette blushes and explains that she is with them to protect the weak Osamu, as she is the reason he was transferred to this world. Tama responds that Osamu cannot be weak, as he single-handedly defeated the death tree and saved her life. Annette accuses her of lying, saying Osamu is poisoned anyway, and he could die from a slight push. Meanwhile, Osamu ignores the argument between Annette and Tama and is preoccupied with the coffin he found. He calls out to Annette and Tama and tells them he will sleep in the coffin because he is tired. He asks them to wake him up when they reach the city. When Osamu stops the coffin and sleeps, Annette pulls the coffin and teases Tama because Osamu didn't call her by her name. We leave them and go to the nearby city and see a girl standing sad, watching the sunset. So what's waiting for Osamu and his friends in the city? Will they be able to reach it or not? And who is this girl who appeared? All this and more we will know next time, but before we finish, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, like and share the video. Peace out.